White House Situation Room. The Situation Room is a 5,500 square foot command complex located in the basement of the West Wing of the White House. It is not a deep bunker. It sits at ground level, beneath the main floor. Its function is communications and crisis coordination, not physical protection. The facility operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, staffed by watch officers drawn from the NSC, CIA, DIA, and the military services. Every major U.S. command and intelligence agency has a direct encrypted link to it. The President can walk from the Oval Office to the Situation Room in under 2 minutes. The complex includes multiple conference rooms, a main watch floor, and a secure video teleconference suite used for real-time calls with foreign leaders and combatant commanders. It was fully renovated in 2007. The room has no meaningful blast protection. In a sudden physical emergency at the White House, the Situation Room is not where the President goes. That is a different facility entirely. PEOC. The PEOC, or the Presidential Emergency Operations Center, is located several stories beneath the East Wing of the White House. It is a hardened command center designed to shelter the President and senior staff during a sudden emergency, a terrorist attack, an aircraft threat, an incoming missile. During the September 11th attacks, Vice President Cheney was evacuated to the PEOC within minutes of the second plane striking the World Trade Center. Senior staff, including National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice, joined him there. From the PEOC, Cheney coordinated the government's initial response, including the order to authorize the military to engage hijacked aircraft. The PEOC is designed to withstand the effects of a nearby conventional explosion. It is not rated to survive a direct nuclear hit. Its purpose is short-duration emergency shelter and communications, not long-term continuity of government. For scenarios involving nuclear exchange, the President is expected to be evacuated out of Washington entirely. Camp David. Camp David sits in the Catoctin Mountains of Maryland, roughly 70 miles northwest of Washington. Its official designation is Naval Support Facility Thurmont. It is operated by the Navy and guarded by the Marine Corps. Beyond its well-known role as a presidential retreat, Camp David is a designated presidential relocation site. The complex includes a hardened underground command facility capable of supporting the President and a Corps staff during a national emergency. It has its own secure communications infrastructure and can function independently of Washington. Its location outside the Capitol, combined with its existing security posture and communications capability, makes it a practical first-option relocation site in a fast-moving crisis where there's enough warning to move the President out of the White House, but not enough time to reach more distant facilities. NMCC. The National Military Command Center, the NMCC, is located inside the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia. It is not a separate facility. It operates within the Pentagon's basement level and functions as the primary 24/7 nerve center for U.S. military command. The NMCC is staffed continuously by watch officers from all military services. It maintains direct communications with the President, the Secretary of Defense, all combatant commanders, and the nuclear forces. When a nuclear threat is detected, the NMCC is one of the first nodes in the alert chain. It receives warning data, notifies senior leadership, and begins processing the emergency action message once a launch decision is made. In a scenario where the Pentagon itself is struck, the NMCC's functions transfer to Raven Rock. But under normal operations, including peacetime nuclear command and control, the NMCC is the primary link between the President and the military. Raven Rock Mountain Complex. Raven Rock is a deep underground military installation built inside a mountain near Blue Ridge Summit, Pennsylvania, roughly 6 miles northeast of Camp David. Construction began in 1950. It became operational in 1953. The facility consists of 5 freestanding buildings constructed inside a hollowed-out granite mountain. The buildings are not attached to the rock. They sit on springs to absorb shock from a nearby nuclear detonation. The complex has its own power plant, water reservoirs, and infrastructure designed to support operations independent of the surface for extended periods. Raven Rock is the primary alternate command site for the Secretary of Defense and the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Its official function is to serve as a backup Pentagon. If the Pentagon is destroyed, senior military leadership relocates to Raven Rock to continue commanding U.S. forces. The facility can support over 1,000 personnel. It is sometimes called Site R, or the Alternate National Military Command Center. Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center. Mount Weather is built inside a mountain near Bluemont, Virginia, roughly 46 miles west of Washington. It is operated by FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and serves as the primary continuity of government site for the civilian branches of the federal government. In a catastrophic emergency, Mount Weather is the designated relocation site for cabinet secretaries, agency heads, and a line of presidential successors. Its purpose is to maintain the essential functions of the executive branch if Washington is destroyed or rendered inaccessible. It has been described, in practical terms, as the infrastructure for a shadow government. The facility includes dormitories, a hospital, a power plant, a water treatment system, and communications equipment. Its existence became partially public in 1975 following a congressional inquiry, but operational details remain classified. Above-ground support buildings are visible from nearby roads. The underground portion is not open to the public. Cheyenne Mountain Complex. Cheyenne Mountain sits inside a granite peak in the Rocky Mountains near Colorado Springs, Colorado. The main chamber is excavated roughly 2,000 feet below the mountain's surface. Construction ran from 1961 to 1966. The complex became operational in 1966 as the command center for NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command. The facility's defining engineering feature is its isolation system. 15 freestanding steel buildings inside the mountain are mounted on a total of 1,319 springs, each weighing approximately 1,000 pounds. The buildings move independently of the surrounding rock. The blast doors at the main entrance weigh 25 tons each and are designed to seal within seconds. Cheyenne Mountain was built to survive a nuclear near-miss, a detonation close enough to destroy the surrounding area, but not a direct hit on the mountain itself. NORAD's day-to-day operations shifted to Peterson Space Force Base in the early 2000s, but Cheyenne Mountain remains active as a hardened alternate, kept on warm standby, and brought back to higher alert levels during periods of elevated threat. Offutt Air Force Base. Offutt Air Force Base is located near Bellevue, Nebraska, roughly 10 miles south of Omaha. It is the headquarters of U.S. Strategic Command, the command responsible for the U.S. nuclear arsenal. Beneath the main STRATCOM headquarters building is an underground command center from which commanders monitor global nuclear threats and, under a presidential order, would transmit launch commands to the nation's ICBMs, submarines, and bombers. Every authenticated emergency action message authorizing nuclear use flows through this facility. Offutt has a secondary significance in continuity of government planning. On September 11, 2001, President Bush was flown to Offutt before returning to Washington. The base's hardened communications infrastructure made it a practical temporary command node, while the threat picture was still unclear. E-4B Nightwatch. The E-4B Nightwatch is a modified Boeing 747-200 operated by the Air Force's 1st Airborne Command and Control Squadron, based at Offutt Air Force Base. There are 4 aircraft in the fleet. At least one is on ground alert at all times. The aircraft is formally designated the National Airborne Operations Center. Its function is to serve as an airborne command post for the President and the Secretary of Defense, a flying equivalent of the Pentagon. It carries 18 antenna systems, including a 5-mile trailing wire antenna capable of transmitting very low-frequency signals to submarines at depth. The aircraft is hardened against the electromagnetic pulse generated by a nuclear detonation. With aerial refueling, the E-4B can remain airborne for more than 72 hours. The aircraft exists specifically to ensure that even if every ground-based command facility, the Pentagon, Raven Rock, Offutt, is destroyed in a nuclear exchange, the authority to command U.S. forces survives in the air. E-6B Mercury. The E-6B Mercury is a modified Boeing 707 operated by the U.S. Navy. The fleet consists of 16 aircraft operated by Strategic Communications Wing 1 out of Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma and Patuxent River Naval Air Station in Maryland. The aircraft's mission is designated TACOMO, take charge and move out. The E-6B's primary function is to maintain communications with ballistic missile submarines when all ground-based and satellite communication links are gone. To do this, it trails a very low-frequency wire antenna up to 26,000 feet long, while flying in tight, continuous circles at altitude. VLF signals at that frequency can penetrate seawater to a depth sufficient to reach a submerged submarine. At least one E-6B is airborne at all times. In 1998, the aircraft also took over the Looking Glass mission, the airborne nuclear command post role previously held by the EC-135, meaning the E-6B now serves dual functions, relaying orders to submarines and, if necessary, acting as an airborne command authority for the broader nuclear force. Greenbrier. The Greenbrier bunker was built between 1958 and 1962 beneath the Greenbrier Resort in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. Its purpose was to shelter the entire United States Congress, all 535 members of the House and Senate, plus support staff, in the event of a nuclear war. The facility covered 112,000 square feet and included dormitories, a decontamination center, a clinic, a power plant, a cafeteria, and a large chamber designed to function as a legislative hall. Entry was concealed behind blast doors disguised as a standard wall in the resort's exhibition hall wing. For over 30 years, the bunker was maintained in secret by a cover company called Forsyth Associates, whose employees posed as audiovisual technicians servicing the resort. Their actual job was to keep the facility operational and ready for occupancy on short notice. The bunker's existence was exposed in a May 1992 article by Washington Post reporter Ted Gupp. The government decommissioned the facility shortly afterward. It is now open for public tours. Mount Pony. The Mount Pony facility was built in 1969 in Culpeper, Virginia, operated by the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond. Its purpose had nothing to do with sheltering personnel. It was built to store cash. The facility held billions of dollars in currency. Estimates range from $4 to $8 billion, sealed in a radiation-proof vault designed to survive a nuclear attack. The logic was economic. After a nuclear exchange, surviving financial institutions would need liquidity to function. The cash stockpile was intended to recapitalize the banking system and restore some form of economic activity in the aftermath. The facility also housed a broadcast studio capable of transmitting Federal Reserve communications to surviving financial institutions across the country. Mount Pony was decommissioned in 1992. In 1997, the building was transferred to the Library of Congress, which now uses it as the Packard campus for audiovisual conservation, one of the world's largest archives of films, recordings, and broadcast materials. Congressional Replacement. After the Greenbrier bunker was exposed in 1992, Congress was left without a designated relocation site. A replacement facility was subsequently identified and prepared. Its location has never been officially confirmed. The existence of a replacement is acknowledged within continuity of government planning documents, but the facility itself remains classified. No congressional hearings have publicly addressed its location or capabilities. Based on the structure of existing COG planning, it is assessed to be within a few hours of Washington and capable of housing both chambers with essential staff. It is, in practical terms, the one entry on this list that cannot be described in detail, because those details have not been released. Warrenton Training Center. The Warrenton Training Center is a cluster of classified facilities located near Warrenton, Virginia, operated by the Central Intelligence Agency's Office of Communications. The complex is sometimes referred to internally as Station A, Station B, and Station C. Its official designation describes it as a training facility. Its actual function, as documented through declassified references and investigative reporting, is to serve as a node in the continuity of government communications network, maintaining the signals infrastructure that would allow dispersed government entities to communicate with each other following a catastrophic attack on Washington. The facilities are not open to the public. The buildings are visible from surrounding roads, but their internal function remains classified. They represent the communications backbone of the COG system. Less dramatic than a mountain bunker, but operationally significant in any scenario where Washington's communications infrastructure is destroyed. Thanks for watching. What do you want me to cover next? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.